everyone, and welcome back to Mindbody Medicine for Chronic Pain. I am your host, Sean Hershey, and I am a therapist, and I specialize in helping people overcome chronic pain and chronic symptoms using emotional and psychological modalities. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So glad you are here and so glad that you are back. Well, here we are. It is the end of November. If you're listening to this when it comes out, we have passed Thanksgiving. If that's a challenge, yay, we did it. If it was a good time, great. I hope you had a great time. And maybe it was both. Maybe it was a little bit of a good time and a little bit of a challenge. And here we are in the high-key holiday season. So if you are like me and raised in the Christian tradition, Christmas is coming up, which is obviously the holiday. And I do love the Christmas season. I love it. The Christmas music, Christmas tree. I love all that. I really do love all that. And I know that the holidays are also very stressful. So I just want to extend my heartfelt hello, I see you, to you. Something that I just want to offer is that there was a couple, I think it was maybe, I don't know, a couple of years ago, it was the month of November, and it was one Thanksgiving. I swear the entire month, I could not get it out of my head and out of my heart and out of my body that I was dreading Thanksgiving, dreading it. And the whole month was I mean, if I'm being dramatic, this is for those of you who understand the language of journal speak. If I'm being dramatic and journal speaking in speaking journal speak language about it, it ruined my entire month. It ruined my entire fucking month. Then Thanksgiving, of course, happens at the end of the month. Was it good? No, it was not good. But was it that bad? No. It was not that bad. And I don't know what your family events are like and what your holidays are like, but I just want to offer that because I know that I'm not alone in that, where you can let your dread for something ruin an entire month. And then the event comes and it's like, well, yes, that was kind of shitty, but wow. I wasted so much time on that. And in a way, of course, it's not a waste because you're feeling your emotions. This is what you have to feel. Your emotions are there for a reason. And if you're dreading a holiday, if you're dreading Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever holiday is coming up for you, if you're dreading a holiday, that gives you information about who you are and what you need. That said, do you need to be like me and spend an entire month dreading something that's not that bad? Probably not. That was a little overkill. And so I just want to offer that to you that if you're in that place, you are not alone. There are others out there, and hello, I'm one of them. Okay, today we have a really, really cool, funny, and fun interview with Amy Yarin. I'm not going to give you any info because it's very much the interview speaks for itself. This Amy, of the people we've had on the podcast thus far, Amy probably has had the lowest low. So there's a lot of symptoms here, and there's a lot of profound recovery. Her story is awesome and inspiring. Get ready, hold on, fasten your seatbelts because this is a really cool story. Okay, very briefly before we get into the interview, let me tell you this. If you're stuck in your healing and you need to take this work deeper, I would love to meet you. Of course, my main thing is that I am a therapist and I offer weekly individual therapy, and I would be happy to be your therapist. If your body is telling you, you need to go deeper and you've got to do it and you need help, my strong encouragement to you is listen to that. If that's the message you're getting from your body, okay, time to listen. You can request a consultation with me through my website, which is mindbodymedicineforchronicpain.com or seanhershey.com. They will both take you there. If you're enjoying the podcast, please share it with someone who could also use it. You may change their life, right? You know how profound this work is. You may change their life. Also, please follow the podcast, rate the podcast, write a written review for the podcast. I would really appreciate that. And if you have a question, please join the conversation. There's a link in the show notes to ask a question on the podcast. Please join in. And I'm going to be taking the responses. I will choose a few of the responses to actually respond to and include on the podcast. And if you would like to follow me on social media, I am on Instagram at mygaytherapist. Okay, let's get into this conversation with Amy Yarin. Hello and welcome back to the Mindbody Medicine for Chronic Pain podcast. I am here with an awesome guest, Amy. Hi, Amy.
Hi.
So Amy and I have met. We met twice on two separate occasions. First at Nicole Sachs's Cure for Chronic Pain retreat, where we connected, and then second we met again at the ATNS conference, which was this last September, where we connected even more so. And Amy has a amazing story of recovery and healing using this work. And I mean, I think it's fair to say, Amy, that like your low was pretty low, right?
More than fair, yes.
Okay. So we will get into all of that and how kind of miraculously better you're doing now. And I will say that when we were at the ATNS conference, Amy was so kind as to offer me a ride from the conference center to like one of the happy hours afterwards. And you had the most awesome rental car. It was like just a massive pickup truck.
I felt so cool.
So we rolled up to the ATNS happy hour in a really badass, massive pickup truck. So that was amazing. Although we did have to park it in that tiny ass parking garage, which kind of ruined the vibe. But what can you
Well,
do?
yeah, gained a lot of new skills that weekend.
Cool. Well, yeah, why don't we start with getting into your story wherever you want to wherever you want to start with that. I mean, oftentimes a TMS and chronic pain story can be kind of like a life story. So
Yeah.
wherever you want to start, we will start there. Go ahead.
Okay. So, I am like to say, not just a lifelong TMSer, but also a generational TMSer.
Mm,
I grew up with my mom in pretty severe chronic pain for my entire childhood.
mm.
It actually wasn't until I started experiencing the very severe bout of chronic pain that I had, that I spoke with her and realized that her chronic pain coincided directly with my birth.
Wow.
And she didn't want to tell me because she didn't want me to feel like it was my doing in any way.
Wow.
So that was, a classic TMS. She has all the classic TMS indicators of, like, honestly, I was like, "Okay, well, now you're telling me that. Now it kinda feels like my fault." But
Right. Let's just pause there because that is really heavy. I mean, the complexity of that. That I mean, I don't have a child, but I can only imagine, and my friends who have kids, uh, having a child is an incredibly, deeply stressful life change. So it makes sense that your mom's body would respond to that. And the fact that oh man, it's like that's just really, really heavy and really deep. So wow. Wow. But yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Go ahead.
started it off with a bang. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
um she has been suffering from chronic pain my entire life. I remember my childhood, she'd be walking around with an ice pack most of the time. She'd be stretching in ways that really embarrassed me as a kid. We'd be at the park and she'd be just contorting all the time. Um, and pretty soon, that was me. I was walking around with an ice pack and horrified that I had entered this fate too. Um, it was so I had like some classics at the beginning before this happened. I had asthma, like anxiety, depression. I had some back pain as a child. I actually went into physical therapy for it as a kid. Um, but it wasn't severe enough to be impacting my life in a measurable way.
Mhm.
So it wasn't until after I graduated, or I guess when I went into my last semester of college, that a few days before starting my last semester, because I had taken some time off and I was working a retail job that I adored. It makes me sound psychotic, but I was working at the mall and I loved it.
No, that's you never hear that. I'm like,
No.
where did you work? Maybe I should go part-time there.
Yeah, it was it's a company called Akira clothing store. Lots of,
Cool.
like, my district manager called us the island of misfit toys. It was just very
Aw.
much like we were amongst our people there. We would be
Yeah.
dancing in the store, like, I was having a ball, like, at the perimeter mall.
That's
Um,
great. That's great.
and then I was like, "Well, I should probably finish my degree because I have 1 semester left." I'd been in and out of mental health treatment, there was the pandemic, all sorts of shit happening, and I was really
Right, right,
determined.
and that's let me just say, to interrupt, you were in college during the time of the pandemic, is that right?
I sure was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah, you were.
Zoom University, a real fun time.
It's for people like, for people my age, it's, like, hard to even fathom that. It's shocking. The pandemic happened when I was 30 or 31, something like that. I'm just like, my heart goes out to you. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it sucked. It was definitely a huge contributor to my symptoms because the pandemic really exacerbated some mental health issues for me. I don't have a good relationship with my immediate family, my parents. So it was all of my friends and my home that I had established there just completely disappearing before my eyes. Like everyone going back to live with their parents in wherever they were. And me, my college very graciously provided an apartment for me to stay. So it was just me and the international students at my school. And
Wow.
it was extraordinarily isolating. We weren't even really allowed to, like, say hi to each other in the hallway. They were, like, very, "We're gonna do this pandemic thing right," which sucked for me.
Oh,
Um,
man, unbelievable.
yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. That is heavy. Wow. Okay. So you're working at this store, it's the pandemic. What happens?
Yeah, so I I wanna say, like, 2 days before my last semester is supposed to start, I'm in the shower, and I have this is kinda okay. I have
That's fine. We go there. It's
I
fine.
have I have this routine in the shower at this point in my life. It's a little um, self-love ritual in the morning where I'm, like, kissing my feet in the shower.
Oh, I love that.
So, that's what I'm doing. I do my normal thing, like, I'm listening to music, I'm jamming out. I, like, every morning had this routine where I was singing and dancing in the shower, and then I'd kiss my feet, and I was
Love it.
very
I'm like, anyone listening, if you wanna try it, try it.
highly recommend, okay? Yeah, the intensity part of the T personality is 100%. I can be, oh my god, just joie de vivre, but, like, in life, and so that's what I was doing,
Love.
gearing up for my first day of my last semester, and I went to, like, stretch my leg, and my back completely gave out,
Mm,
and I mean, like, toppled to the ground, and
God.
so severely that I had to army crawl to my door
Oh my god.
to let the paramedics in.
Oh my god. Wow. And let me just pause here because what I'm gathering is like, so this incident happens right as you're starting your last semester of college.
Yeah.
Your mom's severe chronic pain started when she had you,
Mhm.
and what I'm gathering is, like, so far, neither of you really understands that connection, correct?
Yeah. No,
Got it,
no, I
got
mean,
it.
that is just not even
Totally.
a consideration that that could be
Totally.
connected in any kind of way.
Totally.
Um, because it felt, and this is something that Sarna talks about, like, it felt so connected to that physical moment of movement because the brain is looking for that, looking for something to make you stop in your tracks, making you like, it's kind of building the best case for you to be able to believe that you are in need of serious rest and
Right.
taking time away from things.
Right. Right. So what happened? The paramedics arrived and you're, like, crawling out of the shower? Like, what happened?
I don't know, I guess I managed to get myself dressed somehow. I think it sort of, like,
Wow.
it built up, like, very quickly, the pain, like,
Mm.
I didn't, like, crumple onto the ground, but I was very quickly completely disabled, so I think I was able to get dressed, and then I tried crawling. I couldn't regular crawl. I had to literally army crawl, and I remember reaching up for the door to let the paramedics in after I called 911. I was on
Wow.
the phone with my best friend at the time. Like, "What the fuck is
Man.
happening to me?"
Right.
And, uh, being myself, I'm like, I went to the ER. My mom came down at this point. I hadn't seen her in a very long time. We didn't have a close relationship. I was trying to keep distance from her, but I really needed support at that time. And being myself, I said, "Okay, let's start college."
'Cause why not, right?
'Cause why not? So I'd go to college and I'd bring my ice packs
Yeah.
and I'd bring, like, I would just try to make it as comfortable as possible for myself.
Mhm.
And then, midway through the semester, my best friend at the time, who was just the the best person I had ever found in my entire life,
Mm.
and I was very attached to that relationship, he started distancing himself from me very suddenly.
Wow.
And that affected me really, really deeply.
Yeah.
And that is when my pain started really ramping up. And I'm thinking about graduation and all of the transitions after college, and transitions are very difficult for me, always have been. And all of these factors just compounding and making it like my pain was just getting to a really unbearable level. And um I was losing my mind, truly. Like, and I was trying to get all this work done and I was just getting into this, I was totally spiraling. I ended up graduating. Um, I couldn't sit down at my own college graduation. I was
Wow.
also, on Oxy at my college graduation. The pictures I look great, honestly, in the pictures, I'm like, "Who is that girl?" I'm, like, on Oxy, I'm like, "You all are my best friends," like, I graduated.
Well, and let me just say, isn't that funny how that is? Like, you never know. You really never know what somebody's going through. Like, that's shocking that you can look back at those pictures and know, like, this was a low point. And if you just see the picture, you're like, "I look good."
I got featured in the AJC, like, that's how, like, the light was, like, coming from within, like, even the AJC reporter was like, "That girl right there," and I was, like, on prescription painkillers.
Sure. Yeah, couldn't sit down. What, just out of curiosity, what were you doing? Were you standing? Like,
I
what
was standing at my own college graduation
Wow.
because my back
Wow.
was in so much pain that I couldn't
Wow.
sit, and
Wow.
I remember, like, yeah, it was, humiliating, but I was trying to, like, push aside all those feelings of, like, I'm here, like, I'm doing it, I'm finally doing it." And, yeah, after graduation, things took a turn for even worse.
Yeah.
I remember I went into my therapist's office, I think this might have been before, yeah, before graduation, and I said I was really, really resistant to going to any sort of medical professional because I'd had medical trauma already in my past, more of that to come. Um, and I told her that I didn't wanna go to a doctor and that I'd seen, I'm trying to remember who it was. It was, Anne Horowitz? Do you know of
Hmm.
her?
I don't know. I don't know the
I
name.
think that's her name. I
What?
saw one of the neuroplastic
Oh,
practitioners or coaches,
cool.
Instagram pages, and it did register with me, and I remember saying, "I want something that's a mind-body approach and someone who's not gonna prescribe me opioids."
Alright, cool. Well, that's interesting that, like, you attached to that somehow, like, part of you was like, "This works for me." But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I knew what I wanted. I remember I went into one of the first doctors I went to out of literal dozens. I told him, I think this has something to do with, trauma because 'cause I've had a lot of trauma in my past. Like, I think there's something because I know that I I think that people who even don't have knowledge of this work, like neuroplastic healing, still understand they've, like, seen Gabor Mate or, like, Bessel van der Kolk, like, they
Yeah,
understand that there's some sort of trauma component, they just don't understand that it's workable, and that was where I was
totally.
at, where I was like, "I think this has something to do with it."
Totally.
Um,
That's such a good way to put it. Like that I would say is mainstream knowledge. Like
yeah,
people know pain, symptoms, diseases, conditions. Like the ACEs study certainly proves, quote unquote, this that like ACEs being adverse childhood experiences, that trauma can cause issues in the body. People know that. I love the way you put it. People don't always know that it's workable. That's a great way to put it. It's workable. But yeah, go ahead.
yeah, um, so yeah, I didn't know that, so I tried to go in and I this doctor basically just brushed that off like, "Oh, okay, that's cool, you think that," and
Oh
I
no.
got just steamrolled into the medical system of, like, the
Yeah.
desperation really kicked in. I have a pretty obsessive personality, and
Same.
that really, really lent itself to being a very profitable medical patient.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Damn.
I was I actually had a very, like, minor surgery. This there's a lot. I'm trying to figure out what
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, y go ahead. Just yeah, let's roll with the story. Wherever it takes us is good.
Um, so before I graduated college, during college, I had a surgery that was given to me without proper consent.
Oh, jeez.
I it was a it's called a percutaneous discectomy. Um, and I was laying on the table to get an injection, which I had a lot of.
Mm,
And the doctor said he upsold me on the table,
mm.
and said, "Well, guess what? Like, this can have X weeks of amount of relief, and but if I give you this percutaneous discectomy, which is a minor surgery, then you can have X many months of relief." And I said, "You know what? Let's go for it." Like,
Mhm.
it was just not informed consent. I was in a
Wow.
very vulnerable position. And so
Wow.
that doctor, I actually did it without any drugs either,
Oh,
um,
wow.
because I refused them.
Sure.
Um, because I think I wanted to be like I was scared. I was just scared in general. I was
Yeah.
scared of the drugs that they were gonna give me. I was scared of anything. Like, I didn't trust them. I wanted a solution so desperately, and I
Right.
was had sort of this, uh, really, like, twisted idea that, like, the the more I'm willing to sort of, like, suffer to end my suffering, the more
Mhm.
fortunate I would be.
Mhm.
So I
Totally.
was just ready to full send all the time out of just pure desperation. And so I
Yeah.
had that surgery. That doctor prescribed me opioids without even telling me that that's what he was doing. I like went to the pharmacy and they're like, "Hey, do you want a bunch of oxy?" And I said, "Uh, uh, sure."
Yeah.
Um, and that got me started on that. And so then
Wow.
I ended up having another surgery later on, like way later in my journey. But anyways, I ended up being bedridden for 6 months. Um,
Wow. Wait, okay, so yeah, tell us, like, what kicked that off?
um, really the combination of uh losing my relationship with my best friend at that time
Yeah.
and graduating is what I attribute it to.
Yeah.
Uh, like a lot of big life transitions.
Yeah, and let me ask, 'cause I can tell, like, the mindset shifted clearly a lot over time. When you were bedridden, What did you think it was about? Like, did you think it was in the aftermath of the surgery? Like, what did you think was wrong at the time?
What didn't I think was wrong?
There we go. There we go. Okay, yeah, yeah. So run us the list. Like, talk to us about the mindset.
I turns out I have a very interesting set of normal abnormalities, as
Mm,
Sarno would say.
mhm.
My anatomy comes with a lot of quirks, and doctors love to posit those quirks as the reason for my pain. Turns out I have an extra rib.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Cool.
I have an extra rib. I have two congenitally fused vertebrae um in my neck.
Hmm,
I have scoliosis. I have
Scoliosis, same, same.
Yeah, and I was diagnosed with that as a kid. I was attributing it to a car accident largely,
Mhm. Okay.
that I had years prior, which why would the pain kick in now?
Right.
Because it's neuroplastic.
Right.
Uh, but
Right.
I didn't know that at the time. I was
Right.
just like and I had these questions also. Like, I am an analytical person. I was constantly like, this thing that the doctor said really doesn't make sense, and it contradicts with this thing, and that doesn't make sense." Even, like, the medical stuff that I have no background in, I'm like, "You wanna take fluid out in this scenario, and then you wanna put fluid back in this how is that?
Mm,
What are
mm,
you guys doing?" Like,
mhm,
I constantly had questions that were not getting answered.
mhm,
So I was attributing it to everything I got diagnosed with. I mean, I had like dozens of imaging, various types of imaging done. So like they just kept finding more stuff. They're like, oh, I guess this is minor spinal stenosis. So it was just the list just kept ramping up. And I started coming up with like crazy theories, trying to like research like fringe diagnoses. Like I was gonna find the thing that like I thought I had clipple feel at one point, which have
That's
you
one
heard
I've
of
never
that?
even heard of. No, no.
That's what I'm saying. I was deep in it. Um,
Got it. Got it.
I yeah, I thought maybe I had clipple feel. I was diagnosed with I counted my like lifetime diagnoses at one point and it was over 30.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so you're bedridden. Then what happens?
Um okay, I was bedridden and I was cycling through all sorts of treatment. My mom was living with me for the first time since I was a teenager. I moved out at 15 and she came to live with me and she was like shuttling me around to appointments and sort of facilitating all of this. I tried everything and I cycled through also um like addiction is a big part of my story
Mm,
in this. Um and I I ran through the list of opioids the from the weakest opioid to eventually the second strongest. I wouldn't let myself go to the strongest, which because I had self-control, right?
sure. Right.
Um,
Right.
I was like, "I can't do that."
Mhm.
But I went like, I steadily climbed up the list of
Oh.
opioids, and I had my neck surgery,
Mhm.
which was very intense. My pain got worse after the surgery. I had it in my neck. I had it in the front of my neck, which is quite a vulnerable place for surgery. Um,
Yeah, that wow, that really is. That's even as you say that, I'm, like, cringing a little bit. My
yeah,
god.
no, I mean, it's been a lot to contend with
Mhm.
emotionally. Um, that I had this and it's the worst part, matching surgery with my mom. My mom had the same surgery or, like, a
Oh,
similar
wow.
surgery, so or at least in the same spot, it was a different procedure.
Wow.
Um
Well, yeah, I just let's, like, stop there for a second because I have similarly, my dad has terrible TMS, refuses to acknowledge it for what it is, and he truly doesn't believe it. Like, I have tried to educate him, quote unquote, educate him many times, and he just truly, like, he truly doesn't believe it. And I've had so many fears because my hip pain, he has really bad back pain, and I have thought so many times, like, "Oh my god, like, this is my future." Once I found this work and really understood it, I'm like, "Oh, thank god. That's not my future, and it doesn't have to be my future." But I have been there with the, like, my parent and I not matching surgeries, but, like, matching pain. That's a scary feeling.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, the surgery happened. I felt worse instead of better. I mean, cannot I wanna just sometimes people get on Nicole's podcast and they're like they're like, "Oh, yeah, well, like, it wasn't." There's I'm gonna say this. There's some people who are like, "Oh, yeah, like, it wasn't." They're on the other end of the spectrum, right? Like, it's people giving reassurance that this can work even if it hasn't, like, completely, like, taken over your life, or, like, even if you don't have capital T trauma. And I wanna speak to the people on the other end of the spectrum. Like,
Yeah, please.
the people who are like, there's no way that this can get better because I am the one of the most severe cases that I know. And
I mean, given what you're saying, I think you're one of the most severe cases who's come on the podcast so far, so yeah.
yeah, and it's hard also, like, to describe it. Like, I can tell you sort of just narratively what happened, but the feeling is completely indescribable of what I was going through. And I know anyone who's been through TMS, that is a common thread, is like, you just cannot explain it in words. Like, it was just the level of pain was completely just out of anything that I thought was in the realm of possibility. I mean, when I was bedridden, it was 24-hour, like, 1500 out of 10 pain. Eventually, tinnitus kicked in, and so I'd wake up, the ringing would go and stay that for the rest of the day, and my entire body would be in severe pain, so much so that it was hard to, like, lift a fork to my mouth or sit up.
Oh my
Like,
god.
it was just I thought I was gonna die.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and eventually, after the surgery,
Well,
things
let me just say to clarify, are you saying, like, people will come on Nicole Sachs's podcast and say, like, "Oh, this will work for you even if you haven't been through capital T trauma, or even if your pain is, like, not that severe, and it'll work for you," and you're saying, like, this also works if you have, and if your pain is so severe that it's unimaginable. Is that what you mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Great. Cool. Great. Love that
Yeah.
message.
Which
Yes.
also great for those people. Nothing against those
Yeah.
people. Am
Works
I
for
jealous?
everyone.
Absolutely, but,
Sure. Sure.
but it works for the full spectrum. Um,
I love that you're saying that because I think that I know that's something I've talked about on my podcast before, is that that is a common message in this world where people are like, "You don't have to go through trauma in order to, like, end up here." And, sure, um, I think that is invalidating, though, to people who have gone through very obvious severe trauma and they know that. Like, my story was more like, I have definitely gone through trauma, but I wasn't taking it seriously or really acknowledging the gravity of it until I came to this work and found, like, "Oh, it's living in my body."
yeah.
That's, I feel, like, a lot of people's story who come to this work, but it's not everyone's, and it's not yours, and so I'm really glad you're sharing that because that is that, like, everyone counts. Everyone counts.
No, totally. And there's, the whole something to be said about whether we should even say capital T or little t at all. But
Totally, totally. I think that's a really good point because if you're in chronic pain and you're like, "My trauma wasn't that bad," cognitively, you're saying that, but your body is saying something different,
yeah, I think if you end up in these spaces, it was traumatic enough.
period.
Um, but yeah, so that's yeah, after surgery, I decided that I wanted to um this was my last hurrah, was after an oh my god, the amount of, like, electric shock treatments, like, needling, injections, surgeries, like, every invasive treatment, I was like, "You think I'm a pussy or something? Like, I'm like, you think I don't wanna get better? Like, try me." Like, very, very profitable patient.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so my last hurrah was going into a ketamine clinic,
Mm,
and, that had been suggested to me, and I know sometimes that does have genuine, effects for people, but there was a
mm.
little bit too much happening in my story at that point for it to really solve anything, and luckily, the practitioner at that ketamine clinic was very good in that they said, "I don't think you should come in here while you're already on Dilaudid. I think you should probably figure some things out before you come and get ketamine." And I was distraught. Um,
Of course.
and I remember I had this hospital stay where they put me on they broke hospital protocol to give me the amount of drugs that they gave me. It was extraordinarily dangerous, like, combo of, like, benzos, opioids, like, muscle relaxers, like, and this is what I was doing at home, but in the hospital was, like, really amplified. And so I got home and I started withdrawing like crazy, and for some reason, I woke up the next day with the mind-body connection in my head that I had
Hmm,
stumbled upon 6 months prior.
hmm.
And I had just gotten in that hospital stay. First of all, they were almost putting me in palliative care at that hospital.
Palliative care. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
palliative care. Um, and I was almost excited about that because I was so I mean, it's horrifying to look back on. It's really
Mhm,
horrifying to look back on, but at that time, I was like, anytime someone took me seriously, because I was dying, or I
mhm,
felt like I was.
mhm,
Um,
mhm. Well, that and I love that. Let me just pull that out for people listening. Sometimes the symptoms like your reaction, your emotional reaction to the symptoms is symbolic of your emotional reaction to, like, what you really need in life. That really sticks out to me that you're saying, like, "I needed someone to hear me. I needed someone to understand." I mean, how does that land with you?
yeah, I mean, totally. It felt like my level of suffering was so high that it was impossible for me to get the support that I
Mhm.
needed, but when I got someone who actually believed me and was willing to try to do something about it, I think that made me vulnerable, actually, because as long as they believed me, I was kinda willing to do whatever.
Yeah. Right, 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 and it just makes me wonder, like, I mean, I don't know, we don't need to get into this, but it makes me wonder for you and for anyone listening who feels themselves in, like, a spot like that, like, where else in your life do you really need to be listened to? Or what do you really need people to understand? Because it goes beyond the pain, like, those things can be symbolic. So something for listeners to reflect on. Um, but yeah, so you wake up and you have the mind-body connection on your mind.
I
What
do.
happened?
I was just diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome at that hospital, and they were like playing, like, Grey's Anatomy. I feel like they had all these students in my room, and they're like, "Let's figure out what rare disease she has."
Oh,
And so they
gross.
came back and, like, they gave me this fucking stack of peer-reviewed research articles, which, of course, I ate up,
Of
but
course.
they they were saying that it was Ehlers-Danlos, and I was like, "Okay, well, thank you." Also, they were going through some of the, um like, the presentations of Ehlers-Danlos, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I know about that," and I was, like, offering them, like, places, on my heel to take a picture of it. I was like, "Oh, yeah, this thing." So I was, like we were co-conspirators,
I
but
love that. And let me just clarify for people listening, and I'm curious your take, Amy, as well. Ehlers-Danlos is definitely a condition that is real and people have it. Severe chronic pain related to Ehlers-Danlos is TMS, correct?
Correct. Yes. And also
Right.
there are different types of Ehlers-Danlos, and I I don't believe that I have Ehlers-Danlos.
Okay. So it was a misdiagnosis
It
anyway.
it was another misdiagnosis. I
Alright.
actually have a friend who was never diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos, and she has, like, that stretchy skin that you're like,
Mhm,
"Oh, like, this is a connective tissue disorder." I was just
mhm,
flexible. Like, that's it.
mhm,
I was flexible and I was in pain, and they were like,
mhm.
"That's the magic answer," and it wasn't.
Right. Right, right.
I typed in, I think I typed in TMS because I remembered dismissing Sarno 6 months prior, never even opened the book,
Mhm.
just read his Wikipedia page and was like, "I don't think so."
Stupid, right.
Stupid.
Right.
Well, they made him look bad on the Wikipedia page. I'm so
They
mad.
always do. Oh my god, they always do. Every resource makes Dr. Sarno look they're like, "Well, he cured a bunch of people, but, like, he was crazy." You know?
That was exactly it. They were like, "Yeah, like, Howard Stern and Larry David love him." I'm like, "Okay, what does that have to do with me?" Like,
Totally,
I don't know if I
totally.
trust that cohort. Like, I
Right, right,
you know,
right.
and so
But anyone listening to the podcast, you're listening to both Amy and I who have now joined that cohort, right?
yes, now join the cohort,
Yeah, totally with Howard Stern on that one. But
um,
yeah, yeah, so you find this stuff
mhm,
or you're getting back in the mindset. The tables are clearly starting to turn. What happened next?
um, I I listened to, an interview that Dan Buglio did with Gigi Cockell,
Mhm.
and as I was listening, my pain started lifting. So I
Mhm.
had somewhat of an instead of a book cure, a YouTube cure,
Even better.
a
You don't even have
podcast,
to read.
if you will.
Love it.
So all of the things that she was mentioning were questions that I had lingering that no doctor was able to answer.
Mhm,
Like she talked about, she has the story with the antibiotics she was taking, and that she has a scientific background and she knows that there's no way that they would have immediately gotten like lifted her symptoms.
mhm.
And I had that same experience asking people, how come I take a pill and then literally as it is going, like, as it is going down, my pain is lifting because I know that that's not how it science works.
Right. Like the medicine has not really hit your system yet. It's like in your mouth and you're already feeling better. That is a brain cure. That's a neuroplastic cure, not a the medication just hit you super quick cure.
Yeah, exactly. So there were a lot of little things like that that Gigi spoke about,
Mhm,
and just my brain hearing that from a person and a person who I knew had an established scientific background.
mhm. And
'Cause
Ehlers-Danlos herself. She's been diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos herself.
yeah, and Ehlers-Danlos, I it was enough for my brain to feel safe enough for my pain to lift. I kid you not, like more than Dilaudid did from watching that YouTube video.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
which made me feel crazy.
Sure. Sure. Okay, so you have this massive moment of relief. Then what happened?
Um, I went to order Sarno's book.
Mhm.
I read Sarno's book in a day, Healing Back
Wow.
Pain. I read in a
Wow.
day, which while you're on opioids, quite the feat. I was
Yeah, good job.
I was focused. I was real focused. I think I was on benzos too. I was a bunch.
Wow. Wow.
And after that, I drove myself to detox, which kids don't drive yourself to detox.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, that was a really shitty detox that I went to that let me do that, and they shouldn't have, but I made it there, luckily, and I
And just
decided
to clarify, was the purpose to detox from opioids?
from opioids, from benzos, and
Got it.
from the slew of other things I was on, I came
Got it.
in and I brought 2 grocery bags full of prescription pills
Wow.
and said, "Take this, I don't wanna see it anymore," and it was an extraordinarily painful journey. At that time, I was also learning how to walk again in detox with no help,
Wow.
and no empathy from the people there.
Wow.
So, but I did it, and I was extraordinarily determined.
Yeah. Well, and let me just highlight this because it sounds like what you're saying is that, like, after you watched this video and had this like massive physical change in your body, and then you read Dr. Sarno's book,
Mhm.
that your mindset really changed and you knew, like, maybe I don't have to be on these meds. Maybe I can walk. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
took a yeah, I kinda just jumped, like um, yeah, I read s as I was reading Sarno's book, something similar happened, and I had this he was talking about the feeling he was talking about the symptom imperative. He was talking about people who have a feeling of really serious weight on their chest, one of the only symptoms that I've never experienced in my life, and as I was reading the book, I felt that weight on my chest, and I was like, "Oh, people aren't exaggerating, that's actually what it feels like, it feels like there's an elephant on my chest." And that was another experience of, like, I just cannot deny this. There are like, my body is letting me know as clearly as it can that this is actually what is going on. Um, so I took a very hard ass approach to it. I wasn't introduced to Nicole Sachs at that time. I wasn't like, yeah, and self kindness is just as important as anything else. And you might
Mhm.
think that it's stupid, but actually, like, no, I was like, oh, turns out everything is a lie. Let me pick up my suitcase when I didn't think that I could pick up a spoon. Let me drive in my car when I didn't think I could sit in the back of an Uber for 2 minutes. I was
Right.
I really took by the horns and was
Yeah.
like, "Let's fix this shit. I can walk. Everything is fake." I remember saying to
Mhm.
my friend, "America is a lie." I was losing my mind. Like,
I mean, honestly, I think you're kinda right on that one, but
yeah, so I
it's not what we're here to talk about. So that, like, as you're, like, getting extremely into, like, extreme sport of recovery,
mhm.
um, then what?
Then, um, I went from detox to rehab. Um, I eventually got off everything. It's been 2 years now,
Wow.
and I it was not a smooth journey by any means,
Mhm.
but my God, like, I was able to it was it was crazy how normal like, how fast it felt normal to be walking again
Mm,
and able to,
mm,
like, bathe myself again.
mm,
All of
mm.
it it was almost as if nothing had ever happened,
Wow. Wow.
but I had lingering, like, not pain, and I still do somewhat, not pain, but, like, sensation where my surgery was in my neck.
Mm,
Um, I do think that's TMS. I think of it
mm.
as sort of just, like, a reminder that things got really bad and to not I think my brain is just afraid of trusting people to that
Mhm.
level again because I was so horribly abused by the medical system.
Yeah, that's really sad to hear. My god, yeah. And to hear how much better your life is, like, give us a little more of that, and then I do wanna get into, like, what do you feel was, like, the most helpful stuff? Because people
Yeah,
certainly come to this podcast for advice, so let's get to
yeah.
that next. But before we go there, like, talk to us about your life now, and, no one's life is perfect, like, I don't know what still happens in your life, what is fully gone, but, how are you now?
Um, I'm doing I'm doing pretty well.
Hell
I'm
yeah.
doing I'm
For
doing
someone
great.
who was bedbound and using a wheelchair, correct? Using a wheelchair at some points, like,
No, I wasn't even
that's a
able to sit in the
miracle.
wheelchair. I was in too much pain to sit in the wheelchair. So I ordered it from Amazon and it was sitting in my apartment. And my goal at one point, my like huge goal was for my best friend at the time to be able to wheel me around the botanical garden. And I wasn't able to achieve that for a long time. And
Yeah.
I went to detox and I returned that shit to Amazon and I never used it.
Hell yeah. So you're doing so much better. It's kind of unreal. And yeah, paint more of the
Oh
picture
my
for
god,
us.
yeah. No, I went to Sky Zone yesterday.
What is Sky Zone?
You don't know what Sky Zone is?
No.
Oh my gosh. Do they not have Sky Zone in New York? Or I guess,
I don't think
like,
so.
okay, I feel like it got popular around the time that, like, Froyo was a fad, and
Oh,
Sky
sure.
Zone also became a fad. It was, like,
What is
that
it?
era, and so it's an indoor trampoline park, like, the whole place is covered with trampolines,
Wow, that's amazing.
and, like, obstacle courses and foam pits and trapezes and things like that.
Yeah, got it. So you're, like, really doing so much better.
Yeah, I ran the Gaza 5K in New York earlier this year.
Hell yeah, you did. That's really
Yeah,
amazing. Cool. That's so
thank
cool.
you. Yeah, no, it was so cool, and I was a runner before like, a runner for fun. I really enjoyed it,
Yeah.
before this happened to me, and that was something I've heard people talk about a lot on various podcasts is the impact of if you're someone who uses physical activity to self-regulate and having that
Mm,
taken away from you, that's something that
mm.
definitely affected me too.
Yeah.
So, because I was an active person before, um, going through this, and I've been able to run a 5K again. I have driven across the country. Um, I I had a job at, the Omega Institute, working
Yeah.
there as a barista, which I was introduced to Omega through Nicole Sachs and our retreat there.
Yep,
So
that's right, and as a barista, you're, like, on your feet, like, y move that the okay, yep.
yeah, and you need to self-regulate as a barista too because
Mm,
people are people and
totally.
they expect things super fast, and that's something that I've struggled before with a lot is regulating myself in a workplace, like having panic attacks in the back and like, it was something that it's still also just neurodivergence that can be difficult to have to self-regulate in a really demanding environment like that, but I was able to do it, and I
Yeah,
felt good about my job,
yeah,
and so, yeah, I still have obviously things that I am working on, like some of the mental health piece. Obviously, this whole saga is quite traumatizing. So
yeah.
there are some lingering effects from that, that
Yeah.
I'm still dealing with. But for the most part, my God, it's a total 180.
It's amazing. That is so amazing and so inspiring, and, like, thank you so much for sharing this with people. I'm sure this is gonna bring a lot of hope and comfort to a lot of people, especially people who, like, when they dip low, they dip really low. But, okay, as we're winding down, talk to us. I mean, you've certainly already named a bunch of things, but with your recovery that's so miraculous, like what are some of the things that you did that really, really helped you and that you would recommend? Obviously, no two people's recovery is exactly the same, but they all follow, they're all going to be a similar ish trajectory. So talk to us about like, what are the things that really helped you and that you would recommend other people give a try to.
I think understanding that Sarno's traditional, like, "My prescription is knowledge" quote really rings true for me, and I think that especially remember when we were at ATNS, there was sort of having an academic argument about this, about, like, what comes first, is it that, or is it the emotional piece? Um, but in my circumstance, and I feel like this had to do with my symptoms being so severe, I really needed a wake up call based on knowledge. And
Agreed. I totally agree. The knowledge comes first. I don't remember that debate, but I'm like, I'm with you on that same side because like, duh. I mean, like the way I talk about it in my podcast is like, there's one, the psychological work, which is the mindset, two, the emotional work, and then three, patiently attuning to your true self. One comes first. Like it just does. If you're trying to cure chronic pain, one getting the mindset and like what Dr. Sarna would describe as like my prescription is knowledge it's the first step, so I'm with you. Go
yeah,
ahead.
I think at the beginning, which was the time that I made the most rapid progress, it was those sort of, I guess it's traditional to me. If you're like steeped in this world, then it's traditional. But the recommendations to get rid of all of your supportive equipment,
Mhm.
that might be not the right approach for everyone. That was what I did, and it worked for me.
Mhm.
I threw everything out. I didn't donate it. I said, "This isn't gonna benefit anybody, so I want it to be in the landfill."
I respect it. I totally respect it.
So I was wearing a neck brace for months at a time.
Wow.
I bought it myself. I was like, "I can't believe doctors didn't suggest this to me. Let me get a neck brace."
That's amazing. Like, I'm just gonna I've made the self-assessment that I need
I
this.
I went into the ER one time with it on backwards because I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, "Well, you guys don't even understand. Like, this is what I need right now." Yeah. So and I bought, like, covers on Etsy. Oh my god. I was really doing the most. I was
Yeah.
doing the most.
Yeah.
Um, and, yes, I threw all my supportive equipment away. I had a cane.
Yeah.
That one I donated, I think.
Sure.
Didn't throw the cane in the landfill.
Sure.
Uh, Try not to get canceled on my first podcast. But but I threw away, like, the seat cushions. Also, I saw my mom use those things really religiously during childhood, so I think I had some sort of conditioning already that I was like, "Oh, yeah, like, this is what you do."
Yeah.
All of those things out the fucking window. I challenged myself to do things physically, even through pain. I
Mhm.
took a very, again, hard ass approach. And again, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that to everyone. I think that if you're in really severe pain that you cannot stand a second more of, that felt like my only option was to
Mhm.
take a really extreme approach because I was not because my situation was extreme.
Yeah.
And,
Absolutely.
uh, you know,
I'm sure that's landing with some people, like, thank you for saying that because 'cause I'm sure that's landing.
and also journaling, helped a lot and
Cool.
is still helpful, and that's something that I did before, and I actually have my own name for it. Nicole calls it journal speak. Uh, really expressive writing, uh, holding nothing back, very stream of consciousness, um, and yeah, not filtering yourself at all, and I called it trauma mad libs
I
because
love
I'd
it.
be writing about a situation or a person, and I'd be like, "Wait, this all ties back to the same," like, usually my mom.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
this is also it's trauma mad libs. I was just filling in the blanks every time, and
Yeah.
I started doing that actually before I had any of that really severe chronic pain episode. I started doing
Hmm.
that, to get out of sleep attacks, and so I
Oh, wow.
knew already, and I had even recommended it to someone else who was having sleep attacks, because I was diagnosed with idiopathic hypersomnia, AKA you sleep a lot, we don't know why. That's the
Sure.
genius diagnosis they came up with.
Some of the diagnoses are unbelievable. It's just like, perfect example where it's like, this is nothing, but yeah,
No,
unbelievable.
they're regurgitating it back to you in scientific terms.
1,000%.
Yeah. So,
If you're listening to this and you have a diagnosis like that, question it, okay? Question it.
yeah, don't give like, my advice is just, like, you don't have to give all your power away
Yeah.
to doctors. It's really, like, it feels good to be able to trust an authority, especially when you're in a really vulnerable place and you're suffering. You want someone to be able to tell you what to do. Um, but this is it, and I don't know how to communicate that as effectively. I don't know, it's hard, I want
Mhm.
people to come to this work so badly. I can just yeah, I can just share my story and say, "This is what works for me." And yeah, journaling was a big piece of that and still is. And I'm trying to get more into some of the somatic stuff, like somatic tracking. That's something that I've been interested in. And, I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
Well, let me say this, like, the way that you're saying, like, "I wish I could just communicate this," I mean, to me, I know this is gonna impact some people to hear that, like, you were bedbound, your goal was to be able to tolerate sitting in a wheelchair, and now you're going to, like, bounce house heaven or whatever that place is called, like
Charles that sounds scary. That sounds like someone like Michael Jackson would frequent. Um,
what's it actually called?
Sky Zone.
Sky Zone, there we go,
Sky
Sky Zone.
Zone.
But, I mean,
Yeah.
your story is truly, truly remarkable. Um, as we're coming to a close, any final words of wisdom or any final things you would like to leave the audience with?
I would say it can be really scary to question what you know to be true,
Yeah.
and it's okay if that's a difficult process for you. It's it's still somewhat challenging for me to hold. I think that was a big barrier for me getting into this work was it was really emotionally overwhelming to acknowledge that everything that I had been exposed to was wrong, and that's even coming from someone who's always been critical of larger systems. It was really, really hard to acknowledge that much more of it was wrong than I expected. And my advice would be if you are affected by that, if you are a sensitive person who is really upset that this is the narrative that you've been fed your whole life and that it's affected you and that it's affecting everyone every day who is exposed to these falsehoods, then, like, hold space for that, and you can allow yourself to work with that instead of using it as a means to avoid it further.
Beautifully said, beautifully said. I've, like, underlined that 1,000 times, beautifully said. It is hard to unlearn so much and relearn something new, but look at the results. Like, look at Amy's life, look at the result. Amy, thank you so, so, so much for coming on here. I'm sure this has been really helpful for a lot of people. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. And for everybody listening, this has been Mind Body Medicine for Chronic Pain, and I will talk to you next week.